Hello, I'm Dan. Welcome back to Vital Fury and the conclusion of my complete vinyl collection series. I started this about 3 months ago, and I've been showing my entire collection in reverse chronological order from their release date. So, starting in 2021, all the way back there, all the way over here to the oldest records in the collection. This will be volume 15, and I intend for it to be the end. So I have about 1.5 cubes of records to show, which I think will be the most in one video, but I do intend to move fairly quickly, and I'm definitely going to make this the last video in the series. So it's going to take how long it takes, and then at the end I'll kind of do a bit of a wrap up of the series and the year on the channel, some other things that I've done, as well as thoughts on what might happen here next year. So let's get back into it. We're jumping back in 1967 with the immortal Mississippi John Hurt on Vanguard. I think this is an original pressing. I do remember it being released on a record store day reissue, but I managed to find this one. I might have ordered this on Discogs actually. But John Hurt, his story is really interesting if you've never heard it. His rediscovery and his later career after a long gap. And he's a fantastic musician, guitar player. I like him a lot. Involvement, the John Clemmer Quartet. This is on Cadet Records, 1967. Definitely early stuff from him. The Romance and Magic of a Fireside Serenade by 101 Strings. Pretty common, easy listening stuff for the late 60s. And I recently got this somewhere for $1, and it was nice enough to keep. Another of the Wes Montgome on CTI. It's A Day in the Life. This is a test record from Shure. It's called an Audio Obstacle Course Trackability Test Record for stereo cartridges, and I have used this and I found it fairly useful. So I keep my print at home alignment tools. I haven't needed to use this in quite a while because the cartridge that I have I was able to set up quite nicely, and it's awesome. It's the Audio-Technica AT540ML, which I've had for 2 if not 3 years. I think it's been 3 years now, and it's been really good. The classic Tequila, Wes Montgome on Verve. This is a great one. Sounds of Silence, Simon and Garfunkel, 66. This is a reissue from Mississippi John Hurt. It's called Today, and this was released on Pure Pleasure. It's an all-analog reissue, which was very nicely done. And I was into John Hurt enough at the time that it was worth to go with that audiophile reissue of it. It's really nice. This is What's New from Sonny Stitt. Sonny Stitt plays the baritone. If this isn't the first of his records with the baritone, which there are many, it's one of the earliest. On Roulette, it's Uptown with the George Benson Quartet. It's from 66 on Columbia. I think this is the only Tim Buckley record that I have, which is the self-titled from 66. Early pressing of that. Definitely more of a Jeff fan, but Tim has his place for sure. This is the only Rolling Stones record that I have. It's Aftermath from 66. It's an early pressing, and really for the song I Am Waiting, which I heard on a skateboarding video long ago. And for some reason I really liked it. Didn't know it was the Rolling Stones for years, actually. And then when I saw this in a record store, and it was only like $10, I went for it for that reason. This is a Sundazed reissue of Blues Breakers. Clapton and John Mayall from 66. It's a nice reissue. Very well done. Mono. I showed this not very long ago. Alfred Cortot concert. It was nice piano music. Decided to keep it. Wes Montgomery, Going Out of My Mind on Verve, 66. Another Simon & Garfunkel, Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. And this is also a Sun-Dazed reissue of If You Can Believe Your Eyes and Ears, the Mamas and the Papas, with that original cover. Another nice mono analog reissue. Sun-Dazed did some really good stuff around the time that I started collecting, so I managed to get a few of those. And I think this is probably lesser regarded in his discography, but for some reason I like it. It's In My Quiet Room with Harry Belafonte from 66. And I can hear the title song in my head right now. It's just got a nice vibe to it. The great Carlos Montoya, Spontaneous Flamenco, A Study in Improvisation, 1966. It is exactly what it looks like, and it's awesome. Another Sun-Dazed mono reissue, Fifth Dimension, The Birds, really good. Wes Montgomery, California Dreamin', another classic. Guitar jazz at its best. And this is a early pressing of Turn, 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 stereo, The Birds. Same with Mr. Tambourine Man, 65. Got the Chappaqua Suite, Ornette Coleman. It's a Music on Vinyl reissue I showed when I first got it not very long ago. Same with this, Andre Previn and his orchestra. I got that for $1. It was quite nice. The Matadors Meet the Bull, Sonny Stitt, and a bunch of other people, including Eddie Davis. Took me a while to get a copy of A Love Supreme that I was happy with. This version that was reissued in the mid-90s kind of hung around for quite some time. I mean, I think this is at least the third, maybe the fourth copy that I tried before I found it acceptable pressing-wise, and it was very inexpensive, but the quality control was very hit or miss. But I did accept this one. I mean, it was really cheap, like less than $15. And there's been much better, from what I've heard, much better reissues of it in the time since, and I may end up upgrading at some point, but this will do for now. Of course, a phenomenal record. This is the only Beatles album that I have anymore. I used to have the Red and Blue Greatest Hits, and now I just have Rubber Soul from 65, an early pressing. Another Wes Montgomery, Bumpin' on Verve, 65. Oh, this is the actual record. I have Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, Whipped Cream, and Other Delights. I hadn't had it for years, and then I saw a really clean copy of it, and everyone knows the cover. I'll show it here, and I just wanted to have a copy of it, especially for the cover. It was a really nice price, so I just went ahead. It's on my wall, but I have the record there. And this gem I finally discovered last year, Jackson C. Frank. His one and only record on Columbia. It's reissued by Sanctuary, and it's a really nice reissue. A nice thick jacket, good quality pressing. I also have it on CD, but this is well done, and I think it's still available, and I would recommend it. This album is really fantastic. And lastly, for that cube, we got this big box, Mood Music for Listening and Relaxation. It's, I think, 10 records. This flap has a description of all of them. Yeah, there's 10. I found it for, I think, $1. All the records were perfect, and it's just nice to have around for exactly what it says on the box. Okay, we are into the last cube of it all. Wednesday morning, 3 a.m., Simon & Garfunkel, 64. The dynamic duo, Jimmy Smith and Wes Montgomery. Fantastic record. Showed this when it came in not too long ago. Cal Jader, Breeze from the East. Got an early copy of Coltrane's Sound on Atlantic. I love that cover, and there's a series of covers from Atlantic around that time that have that motif. This is the best of Jim Reeves, classic singer from the 50s. Sonny Stitt and Benny Green. I really like this one. It's called My Main Man from 64. Sonny Stitt plays Bird that same motif on Atlantic, 64. Salt and Pepper, Sonny Stitt and Paul Gonzalez. On Impulse, don't have much from Impulse from Sonny Stitt. I think this is the only Dean Martin I have. Hey Brother, Pour the Wine. I figured I'd have at least one. Primitivo Soul from Sonny Stitt. I remember when I picked this up at that record store in Seattle. It was on sale, and it was one of several that I got that are from that radio station, KPLU. And this guy came in and saw that I had it, and he was so bummed because he had come back to get it, and he wasn't going to get it. So it was mine. Prestige, 64. Nat King Cole, those lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer. This is like, when I listen to this, it really just is a wave of the 50s to me, even though this was 63. Still kind of carry over from that time. It just has a good vibe to it. It has a great cover. This is a Fusion by Wes Montgomery with strings. And this is actually a Japanese pressing that I managed to find, which is great. John Hurt, Monday Morning Blues. This is a 1963 Library of Congress recordings, Volume 1. Now, Sonny Stitt on Impulse. That was a good one to find. 63. Living Guitars Play. This is on RCA Camden, 63. This is a good guitar record, I thought, for 50 cents. Percy Faith Strings, Bouquet of Love. Showed that when it came in recently. Need to clean it, but I enjoyed it. Sonny Stitt with Jack McDuff. When I looked this up on Discogs, I couldn't find the listing with this cover. It looks totally different. This is from 62. Rendezvous in Paris, Michel Legrand. I love this stuff. I have several of the Rhino reissues of Coltrane from Atlantic. This is Coltrane Plays the Blues, as well as several of the Columbia reissues of Miles Davis, Someday My Prince Will Come. It's a Record Store Day reissue, numbered 1233. My Favorite Things, which is one of my favorite things, Coltrane. As well as Coltrane Jazz, 61. Focus from Stan Getz on Verve, 61. Zither, South of the Border, Ruth Welcome. This is just a totally random one that I found the 50-cent bins early on and decided to keep. Johnny's Mood, Johnny Mathis, one of the many that I bought and few I decided to keep. It's from 1960. It's an early pressing of Sketches of Spain that I got for a pretty decent price. I guess it's not that early. It's a 1970s reissue, but it was a good one. The Genius of Ray Charles on Atlantic. I paid like $20 for this, but it has Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying, which is my favorite from him. An early edition of Time Out by the Dave Brubeck Quartet, 59. Jazz classic. Chet Atkins, Mr. Guitar. Another very cheap find that I enjoyed. Along with this, I like this a lot. The Four Freshmen and Five Guitars, 1959. Johnny Mathis, Open Fire, Two Guitars. Another one that I enjoyed enough to keep, 59. Jan August Plays Great Piano Hits. That's another recent dollar find. Ornette Coleman, The Shape of Jazz to Come, another classic. This is a reissue on Dom, which is a very inexpensive label. I want to say this was like $12, $14, really cheap, not that long ago. And I think these can be pretty hit or miss. I don't know what the source is, but when I played it, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought for the price it was quite good. And this is the mono kind of blue from Record Store Day in, I think, 2013. This is number 3471. And this I've seen go up in value quite a bit. It was really nicely done, and I enjoyed it. As you'll see, I have a even better version of it, but this is mono, and it's good. I think I'll keep that anyway, but I do have the Quality Records Analog Productions reissue on UHQR vinyl, which is pretty stunning. I mean, it's a lovely package, of course, but top to bottom, it really is a wonderful edition of the record. This is the record that's inside the box. This is number 505, and it's a very large pressing, but this is an early part of the run, which is nice. It's on clear vinyl. It sounds really excellent. Personal appearance, SONNY STITTO Quartet. This is a Japanese pressing and a mono one. This 1959 record. Mingus another classic record from Columbia. I did spend pretty much close to what a reasonable reissue would cost on an older pressing. Ray Conniff and his orchestra is awful nice. 58. Conniff meets Butterfield from 58. Got this one a long time ago. Only the Blues, another Japanese pressing from SONNY STITTO with the strip intact. Verve, I think that's like an 80s reissue. Yeah, 81. Milestones from Miles Davis. Another RSD reissue from 2013. Carlos Montoya. Flamenco guitar, 1957. There's that black satin I got not too long ago. I became familiar with the quartets through the Back to the Future soundtrack. Of course, Mr. Sandman being the song on it. And I saw this for $5 at Amoeba, and I thought that'd be nice to have, and it is. It's a little beat up on the cover. It's taped and stuff, but I don't think I've ever seen this again. Blue Train, John Coltrane. This is a pretty recent reissue. I got it in 2016, and I got the European pressing of it because I read that it was preferable. This was, again, something that I was trying to get a decent copy of for a long time and had some difficulty, but finally found that one, and I like it. New York Jazz, SONNY STITTO Quartet on Verve. Another Japanese pressing, actually. Round About Midnight, another Miles Davis reissue, mono. A more classic Belafonte record, An Evening with Belafonte from 57. This is some early Wes Montgomery, recorded in the 50s, but I don't think it was released until the 70s, or at least compiled in this release. It's a Blue Note reissue series. That was cool to find. It's another like radio library catalog that was discarded at some point. We are almost done. Holiday in Rome. I think this is the first Michel Legrand that I found, and I thought the cover was just adorable. It's 1955 on Columbia. I think that's a 6-eye? Yeah, that's a 6-eye there. Along with I Love Paris, which I got not too long ago. Could have done without the electronically rechanneled for stereo, but we'll see if I find a mono version someday. Of course, Unforgettable, Nat King Cole from 1952 on Capitol. And lastly, we got a couple of classical box sets from Time Life, Great Men of Music, Johann Sebastian Bach, 4-record set, as well as Ludwig van Beethoven. And I've had several editions of this type of music, and I settled on keeping these, but I could do with some more classical music in the collection. But that brings us to the end of the series of my collection. The end of the last cube. There we have it. I'm glad I did this. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have made videos about, because I haven't brought much into the collection the last couple years. You know, a handful now and again. I've actually gone to a record store more this year than I have in quite a while, but still haven't gotten much, and don't really intend to going forward. I'm still pretty much sticking to the no new releases on vinyl. Haven't bought anything since that John Mayer record. And so, yeah, I really don't know what I will do next year. The random records idea I thought was kind of fun, but it also led to this, just showing the whole thing. And so I guess we can go back to that at some point, or some variation on it. Maybe my top 10 this or my top 5 that. I could show the entire cassette collection. I have over 100 of those, but I don't know how interested people would be in that on this channel. I guess there's some form of a equipment or room tour thing to do. And I've thought about it, but I actually, at the same time, I'm like, well, do I really just want to be like, hey, check out my stuff? I have done that several times, but for some reason I thought, I don't know, maybe I don't know the point in that. I mean, you can kind of see it in the background of most of the videos. Stereo's over here. My digital computer setup is back there. That's mostly for production stuff that I do. The studio monitors next to the screen. Then I have my speaker sets for the stereo. I don't know, we'll see. I guess I'm also asking, what would you like to see if I'm not doing regular vinyl update videos and showing what I've recently picked up? If you have any suggestions, let me know. I actually ended up doing more videos in this last year than I had in the last at least 4 years. I went back and looked, counted them up. I didn't do anything in 2019. I started doing a handful last year. But between like 2017 and 2021, I did more videos this year than all those years combined. So it's been nice to do this again on a somewhat regular basis. That helped, having a specific thing to do, this whole collection idea. And it's been nice for me to do, just kind of a reminder for myself of what I still have, what I've held on to, and kind of think about why. I also thought about, man, how much would I have if I didn't do several purges over the years? If I kept every record that I had, I'd have 3 times as much as I do now, probably. Which I'm glad that I don't, honestly. So yeah, I guess that's that. And I also just wanted to take the time to mention, because I don't know when I'll do this again, I have talked about the band that I'm in called Umbrellaman, and we put out an EP a few years ago, and we just put out a new release. It's 2 songs. It's called Sessions. I'll put the artwork here, which I like a lot. And it's a couple of our favorite songs. We haven't put anything out in quite some time. And, you know, there hasn't been much to do for bands in the last couple of years for obvious reasons. We haven't been able to play a show in a long time. Hoping to do more this next year, and we kind of wanted to put ourselves back out there again with a couple of new songs. And it means a lot to me because I mixed these songs myself, worked on them quite a bit, and I finally got to the point where I was ready to let them go, put them out into the world. So they are. You can listen to them wherever you hear music online, Apple Music, Spotify, and I'll leave a link to Bandcamp where you can download a high-resolution version of those songs if you'd like. I also have talked about the podcast that I do with my sister called Siblings in Zion, and we are starting season 4 next year in January. I'm looking forward to it. Again, that's her and I talking about growing up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormons, leaving that, searching for a better life beyond that, but still talking about that whole thing. She specifically is going to be taking the lead on this next season. She has journals, many of them, from her life growing up in the church and through serving a mission for the church, which is a very specific thing to do, very specific experience. And when you look at it from an angle of not being faithful, of not thinking it's the most important thing you could possibly do, you notice how many other things that it is that are not great. So she'll be shining a light on that. So if that interests you at all, a couple of atheists talking about religion and philosophy and all that kind of stuff, you can check that out. So those are some other things that I do. Maybe some more music next year for me as well. And as far as these records go, I'm actually thinking, now that I've gone through this whole thing in the chronological order, I'm kind of thinking I might rearrange them back into genres. And I think I might actually start doing that today. Today's Christmas Day, actually, as I film this. And I wanted to wrap this up so I can get it prepared to be released before the end of the year. And so also I can, while I have some time, I might do some rearranging for us enthusiasts, that's actually kind of a fun thing to do now and again. Okay, so I think we have reached the end. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you joined me through this whole journey. Thanks very much. And whatever form it ends up taking, I will talk to you again next year. So until then, thanks for watching, take care, and enjoy your music.